father and son's emotional reunion 4 years in the making following a break in an international custody case.
I hugged him, told him I loved him, I miss him. It was beautiful.
After 4.5 years of fighting, on Monday, David Goldman was finally able to hug his 8-year-old son, Sean.
He hugged me back, said hello. I put him down because right away I realized I didn't want to overstep and freak him out. And he was smiling, he was happy. I could see conflict in his face. Just told him how much I miss him and how much I love him.
It was the first time Goldman, a New Jersey native, had seen Sean since June 16, 2004, the day his wife took the boy on a trip to Brazil and then never came back. Since then, David has been battling to be reunited with his son, traveling to Brazil several times, only to be turned away while the child never even knew he had been there.
So I told him that I've been there many times to see him. Sometimes for 2 weeks trying to be with him and see him. And I didn't want to hurt him by telling him the absolute truth. So I just said that the courts were making things very difficult.
Sean's mother had divorced David in Brazilian courts and remarried another man. Then, in a shocking twist, she died, and her new husband took custody of Sean. The boy's only contact with his biological father were brief phone calls.
Dada.
Yeah.
I love you forever.
I love you forever, buddy.
It's like being dropped into a nightmare.
A living nightmare.
But now, new hope. After the Dateline NBC report increased international attention about the case, last week a court ruled that Goldman could see his son in Brazil.
This is all about family, and certainly there is at any given time only one father, and he is the father.
U.S. Representative Chris Smith witnessed the reunion.
It was a very heartwarming moment. No reluctance whatsoever on the part of Sean, no resistance.
Now, with the help of Congress and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, a father hopes that he is getting closer to bringing his son home. David Goldman is in Rio de Janeiro and is with us by phone. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Meredith.
First of all, let me tell you how happy I am to be speaking with you this morning after 4.5 years of frustrations and roadblocks to finally get the chance to see your son Sean yesterday. Can you describe for me the emotions that you felt?
It was the most beautiful thing I've seen since his birth. It was incredible. I'm sorry. It's amazing. I got to see my son. After all this time, I just got to see him, walk over to him and hug him and tell him how much I love him and how much I missed him and how joyful it was and is to be with him.
David, after 4.5 years, I mean, that's a long time for a little boy. Sean was just 4 years old when he was taken from you. Were you worried at all that he wouldn't connect with you?
I was, given the circumstances of all these hurdles and obstacles and things that I've been fighting for this amount of time to try to be with him, I was expecting the worst. And when our eyes locked, it wasn't that way at all. It wasn't that way at all. It was beautiful.
How did he seem to you, David? Does he seem happy, healthy?
Yes. He seems healthy. He even said that he's a little chubby. And I can see pain. Poor boy. I can see pain. You know, he lost his dad as far as he knew, and then he lost his mom, and it's tough. He's experienced things that were completely unnecessary. Of course, I was a bit reserved, and yeah, I picked him up and hugged him and squeezed him, but not as long as I wanted to, or we'd be home right now. And he was a little reserved and a little shy. But it's been a long time, and, you know, who knows what's been put into his head.
But that moment, David, when he said to you, "Why didn't you visit me in these 4.5 years?" that must have torn at your heart, given the fact that you were trying all this time to reach him.
Yeah, that was very painful, and I saw the anguish on his face when he asked me that. Basically, I just said to him, "Sean, I've been here many, many times to try to be with you. And the last time I was here, I stayed for 10 days. And I couldn't be with you. I couldn't." And he said, "Why?" So I said to him that there was a problem with the courts.
Let me ask you another question. Without the pressure that's been put on the Brazilian government by people like Congressman Smith and the State Department, do you think that you would have seen your son yesterday?
No. I mean, I've been down here so many times, and I can't say enough wonderful things about Congressman Smith. Incredible.
I know that you are seeing Sean again today, David. What are your plans for the day?
I'll do whatever I can with him. It depends on what kind of restrictions.
And finally, David, given everything that's happened over the past 48 hours or so, are you now more confident that eventually you will get permanent custody of Sean?
I hope, but I never know what to expect. I never know what to expect from things here. I don't know, but I'm going to see my son, and I'm going to hug him, and I'm going to tell him I love him.
David Goldman, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Meredith. And thanks to everyone for support. Every ounce of it has made a difference. Thank you.
And this case is moving ahead in the courts. There's a hearing again tomorrow, so hopefully things will start to move quickly, but you never know what's going to happen.
But the anguish in his voice is palpable.
Oh, absolutely. On the other hand, he brought some things from home to try to sort of remind Sean of his childhood, some pictures, family pictures, picture of the cat, and Sean remembered pulling the cat's tail. So there was definitely a connect between father and son, and it's great that he is seeing him again today in Brazil.